All right? Great. I will call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. Select Board member Shahidul Manan will be participating remotely, and all other members of the Select Board are present or are expected. We expect Mary Jo Lafreniere to arrive for this meeting at Town Hall, room 215, 216 in person. At this time, I will ensure that the Select Board members participating remotely can hear and be heard. Shahidul, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
Great, and we can hear you. The public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. So I will entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with the fire union, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 6, to consider the purchase, lease, sale, or value of real estate in relation to properties in the vicinity of Town Hall and South Street, property comprising part of the Elmwood 3 subdivision development, and parcels owned by Umina off Chestnut Street because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to litigation, Hopkinton CPLLC versus Town of Hopkinton because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board. Approval of executive session minutes to allow Norman Camalo and Elaine Lazarus to participate in the executive session and to reconvene an open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
So by roll call vote, Amy?
Bush, yes.
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Shahidul?
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. We'll return at 6:30.
think we need a shorter.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're reconvening back in open session. I'm calling the meeting to order, and we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So our first order of business is always a public forum. Residents are invited to share ideas, opinions, or ask questions regarding town government. Is anybody here for public forum? And is anybody on Zoom?
Hands raised.
No hands raised. Okay. We're also adding to the select board agenda every week an opportunity for residents to be heard on the select board, the budget listening sessions. So community members are invited to share ideas, opinions, or ask questions regarding the FY25 comprehensive budget as we build it. I'll assume that we don't have anybody here for that either. No hands raised? Okay. I know we kind of skipped past it, but I know many people know that I had a pretty big health scare a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to take a minute to thank colleagues across the town and beyond, as well as neighbors and friends for the outpouring of support and well wishes. I and my family appreciate every single one of them. We're very grateful for all of your support. And I will be making a couple of changes to make it a little bit easier for me as I transition back to full-time work and functionality. And one of them, you'll notice I'm sitting to the far left, my far left, and that will make it easier for me to conduct the meetings only looking in one direction, focusing in one direction. And you'll also notice that I'm not going to be using a screen and talking and listening. I'm only going to listen and use paper materials because it'll make it easier for me as well. So, and Amy has always been helping me on the Zoom, and we're just going to continue to lean on that incredible support. So thank you all, really thank you all for your support. Okay. The next regular item is the consent agenda. So we have the minutes from November 27th, November 29th, and December 5th. We have a gift of $1,000 from Elizabeth Noon to assist the fire department in the purchase of underwater sonar. We have a gift of $300 from the Walcott Valley Condo Trust to the Public Library for use at the library's discretion, and we have a gift of $500 by an anonymous donor on behalf of the Hopkinton Marathon Committee to initiate the process to secure a federal service mark for their iconic It All Starts Here logo. So does anybody want to pull anything out? Nope. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And by roll call vote, Shahidul? Do we have that?
Kaiserman, yes.
Great. Mary Jo?
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes.
Amy?
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Irfan Asrulli, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Okay. The next regular item of business is annual license renewal for Hop Yo at 36 Main Street. So I'll entertain a motion to issue the license pending the contingencies as listed.
So moved. Little discussion, though.
Sure.
Elaine, is everything in order with the entertainment license and common victualler license?
Yes.
Everything's in order? Okay.
Okay.
There's some contingencies, though, that they'll be fulfilled before. Yes. Sure.
Okay.
So moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, by roll call vote, Shahidul?
Kaiserman, yes.
Mary Jo?
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes.
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Irfan Asrulli, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Our next item of business, we're a little bit ahead of time, is the select board appointments. And we have two candidates for Board of Appeals, Sean Masterson and Walter Garland. Are either here? You're here. Sean Masterson. Okay, hold on one second, sir. And do we have anybody on Zoom?
I think we have Walter on Zoom now.
The only thing I'm wondering about is that we're 15 minutes early, so I think we're going to ahead of ourselves. So if Walter is coming, we'd be ahead of him. So I'm just going to wait for 15 minutes until the right time on the agenda, if that's okay. Okay. The next order of business is request to acquire town land. Mr. Kamalo.
I think we were skipping over the appointment of Kristen Merrill.
Oh, I was skipping over the appointments, but I can do that one.
Here, yeah.
Yep, Kristen, come forward. We will consider appointing Kristen Merrill to the Fire Chief Screening Committee. So, Mr. Kamalo, just a little tiny bit of backdrop.
Yes, as we know, Maria Casey has retired, and Maria Casey did occupy one seat on the Fire Chief Screening Committee, and I'm recommending that the board appoint Kristen Merrill to replace Maria Casey on this committee.
Okay. And we very much appreciate your participation because we need you. So thank you very much. I don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Kind of makes sense.
I'm good, yeah. I can't think of a better person.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to appoint Kristen Merrill to the Fire Chief Selection Committee.
So moved.
Second.
And then by roll call vote, Shahidul?
Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you, Kristen, for stepping up.
Mary
Mary
Jo?
Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Irfan really yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. And thank you very much, especially this week, pre-holiday. We had to move a meeting forward to have it this week, so appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Now the request to acquire town land, Mr. Kamalo.
Yes, through the chair, this is a project that Elaine Lazarus, the assistant town manager, has been leading, and with your permission, she's here to present the request to the board.
Awesome, thank you.
So over a period of several months earlier this year, we received from 4 separate people interest in 8 different parcels of land owned by the town in the Lake Maspinock area. And all of these came to the town through tax title procedures in the past. So what our standard practice is to then do some research on each of those and then send it out to review for various boards and committees and town officials to see if there are any contemplated municipal uses for the parcel. So we did that back in August, and we received comments back from Kerry Reed, Dave Del Torio, Jeff Barnes, Sean McAuliffe, Kim Chermickley, Peter Lagoy, and Ed Harrow. And so taking into account the research that we had done from a small parcel study that the town had done back in the late 90s, and nothing really has happened to these parcels since, so that information is still valid, where someone went out and actually visited each of those at the time and evaluated them for future development potential. And so based on what we received back and that information, there's one that had been previously authorized at the May 2013 annual town meeting to dispose of, but the potential buyer couldn't then afford the fair market price, so it wasn't transferred. So it's still potentially available, and we could bid that out again. It is. Its assessed value is $185,000, so it would take a formal bidding process to dispose of that.
Okay.
The second one is a small parcel that could be disposed of with an adjacent landlocked piece that the town owns. I don't know that it's buildable, but it may be of value to an abutter.
Okay.
The others we're recommending that the town retain for various reasons. Some of them are low-lying, next to the lake, serve a drainage function. There's concerns about future water and places for water to go. So that's a major consideration.
Especially after yesterday's storm.
Yeah.
And the board may consider that all of these should be held. So it's a decision. If we do decide to proceed with a parcel that wasn't previously authorized, it will have to go to town meeting.
Okay, so there's really only one parcel under consideration that we recommend potentially taking to town meeting to dispose of. Okay, because the other one already has a town meeting vote, and then we could exercise.
Correct.
Okay, what do you need from us tonight?
Doesn't have to be a vote tonight, but if you're inclined to think about disposing of that one piece, we can have it as a potential article for a town meeting that you would submit into the warrant at a later date.
So the one that has not been, sorry, through the chair.
Yep.
The one that has not gone through town meeting is
The Duffield Road.
the Duffield, 0 Duffield, L35 13100. Okay. And this was,
It's a
it's-
0.09 acres.
yeah, is that, okay, never mind, I'm good.
That, yeah.
The frontage is unusual, or unusable because of the steep slope, but it gives somebody more buffer for their yard, I guess.
And it may have value too in a butter.
That's on Duffield Road. That's one of the 50 by 100 feet lots that is then contiguous with two larger lots behind it.
One larger lot, oh, a smaller lot, sorry. It's a smaller parcel?
So I'm assuming that that 50 by 100 foot lot is going to be an entrance to the back lots.
Yet together, I mean, the second lot is 0.5 acres, so they're both small.
Yeah, okay. One more question. The three lots that are on Haywood Street, and it's the middle of two lots, none of them are built on that I can see from the pictures. Now, the old policy was we were trying to, zoning is 40,000 square feet there. We were trying to extend lots. So is the person looking at these lots looking at all three lots, or are they just want to buy the middle because we wouldn't allow that?
We're just looking at one, and it's recommended that we retain those.
Because that it would make the lot itself smaller than zoning requirement.
And because it's near the lake.
Okay, so that's not going to happen. Okay, and okay, the water lots we're looking at retaining, right? Yeah, that's smart.
You know, it's interesting to me that parcels that are adjacent to town-owned parcels even come up for discussion. Wouldn't we I mean, obviously, we've recommended retaining ownership. Wouldn't we just...
Yes, these were directly adjacent to those larger pieces that in the past we've decided to retain. These were separate ones.
Okay, this one just says one of several adjacent parcels owned by the town.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So in that case, I mean, that we would you know, pretty universally hold onto it, I would think.
We could, I mean, but that's not the comment we received back from the reviewers, but...
So, and they are all being offered to the abutters first, right? That's what we used to do. That was the policy. To extend the lots, they had to be offered to the abutters.
Yeah, to the extent that the law allows that.
Yeah. So once, like the first one is too high dollar value, you can't just offer it. You have to do a procurement process, right?
Oh, yeah, it has to be appraised.
Okay. So you're just looking for us to agree with this approach?
To think about whether a town meeting article for the next annual town meeting would be something you'd want to do, or should we just retain them all?
Okay.
I'd be happy to think about it a little bit, and then, well, we haven't even opened the warrant yet, we'll do that.
So you may want to, at some point, speak to the abutters as well.
Yeah, it would only be this one, the 00 Duffield Road. Right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. All right, great.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Sean.
yeah, one thing I was wondering, this is helpful, and yeah, I need to process it a little bit. But in terms of analyzing this, I would suggest that we add a few more attributes to the summaries. For example, what is the benefit for the town, and what would we miss out if we don't take it, and then the recommendation with logic and specifics. That structure will help us, I think, to map our mind around.
So, for example, more than the proximity to the lake and the use as stormwater management? Like,
Yeah, I'm not questioning the rationales we discussed. I'm just not questioning, I'm just suggesting that the structure would help our decisioning process a little bit to see it exactly what are the rationale and benefits. Like you mentioned, sometimes it's stormwater management, sometimes it could be for preservation purpose, sometimes it could be for, I don't know, keeping public land for future opportunities. But if we understand and document those rationales in a little bit structured way, I think, at least for me, it'll be easier to navigate. I don't have the expertise that Mary Jo has on many lands and locations of the town as much as Mary Jo. How many years? 20-year veteran assistant. So
through the chair, Shaidu, are you looking at, we have a pretty good structure, I thought, on page 14, 15, 16 of our packet. You're wanting to add to that structure?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the same.
Okay.
I wanted to add 3 attributes. One was specific benefits for the town, and if any concerns or cons, and then recommendation. They are kind of embedded sometime and sometime at the end, but the comparative structure, in my view, would help.
okay.
The lot, the L35-189, it's got to go to a butter, I would think, because it has absolutely no frontage and no on any road or anything, so it's landlocked and it's very small. So I would think that an abutter might want it. That's about all. Okay.
And through the chair, the recommendation is to retain.
Retain.
Yeah, there's only one that we might consider putting on the town warrant. Okay, great. Thank you all. I think we could probably do the Metro West Veterans Services District Agreement as well, Mr. Kamalo?
Yes, we are presenting the updated agreement to reflect the FY24 budget.
Okay. I did have a chance to read it. I don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions on the agreement? It's just an update of the existing agreement for the new budget.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And in addition, we'll also be asking the board to designate Elaine as the town's representative on the Metro West Veterans Board. Currently, that position is
You.
the town manager.
Okay, great.
So, Madam Chair, I move to approve the update to the Metro West Veterans Services District Agreement.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
Any questions? By roll call vote, Shahidul?
Sorry, Madam Chair, just a quick question.
Sure.
Norman, can you give me like 2 points of what is the new things on this upgrade?
We reference the annual budget in the agreement, and the revision is reflecting the updated FY24 budget. And the second request to the board is to designate Elaine as the town's representative on the board.
Sounds good. Excellent. Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you.
Here, Joe.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes?
Amy Roderbush, yes?
Irfan Ashfuli, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Should we have a separate vote for the designating Elaine to the board? I'll take
Madam
it.
Chair, I move to designate Elaine Lazarus as the town's representative on the Metro West Veterans Services District Board.
Second.
Second.
Shahidul by roll call vote?
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes?
Amy Roderbush, yes?
Irfan Ashfuli, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Great, thank you. All right, we are right at 7. Do we have another candidate on Zoom by any chance?
Someone with a different name has their hand raised. I don't know if they could be sharing a computer or something.
Okay.
Kyle Smith? Or they took their hand down?
Oh, hands down. No hand now?
No hand now.
Okay. All right, well, let me just ask if there is anyone on Zoom using somebody else's computer that's here for the appointment to the Board of Appeals. Will you please raise your hand so we know you're there? Okay, so I'm going to move ahead, and then if somebody shows up, we'll consider their application as well. So we will be filling a vacancy for an associate member on the Board of Appeals. The term expires June 30th, 2026. We have 2 applicants, and we have 1 applicant here in the meeting room. Would you like to come forward, Mr. Masterson? You can bring your little counterpart with you as well.
Everyone needs their clerk with them.
Nice. If he's a Cub Scout, it totally checks the box. So welcome, sir. What we typically do is we invite applicants to introduce themselves, their interest on the board, whatever it is, in 2 or 3 minutes or less you'd like us to think about. We do have your resume, and we do have your letter of interest.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It really is a pleasure to be here, and I feel fortunate that, I was able to move my family to Hopkinton. We moved here in January.
Nice.
Almost a year. And Alex here is enjoying the Hopkinton Public School System.
Nice. Where are you in the Hopkinton Public School System?
I think it's Hopkins.
Nice. Good job.
With moving here, I'm in a very unique position because the 3 oldest children are in college. One's in grad school, 2 are in college. So it affords me a little bit more time. And I have instilled in my children that they need to give back to the community that they live in. They've all had the fortunate circumstance to attend colleges without student loans. They've had the ability to live in nice environments. And along with that comes the responsibility to give back to your community. And I've for a long time I was a single dad, so I didn't really have the time to work on things outside of my employment. But I've seen over the last 20 years as a practicing lawyer, sort of the ability and the knowledge that we acquire as attorneys over the course of practice, whether it's in front of a court, an appellate court, dealing with client issues, dealing with administrative boards, that I have an obligation, really, to give back. And I mean, I can't possibly enjoy this community, and every day I walk out of my house and I can, run on the streets unobstructed, except for this morning with a couple of trees. But we have access to, public lands. Just behind the house, there's, a couple hundred acres of walking trails. That is here because people before me have stepped up and contributed, as all of you do, contributed their time to the betterment of the community. And so that's why I'm here. I think my experience affords me the opportunity. I think that I would be an asset to the Board of Appeals. I think it's within my wheelhouse, right? What I do on a daily basis is I'm constantly working on that. I've worked on a number of appeals throughout the I'm licensed in 5 states, and I've been in front of the appellate courts of each of those states. I've been in the Federal District Court, the First Circuit Court of Appeals, the Bankruptcy Appellate Court. So I have that experience. Never as one making the decision, but certainly presenting my arguments and my client's arguments. So I would love the opportunity to be of assistance. Yeah. What questions do you have for me?
So I will start at the end with Mary Jo. Do you have any questions?
Okay. This board is it's a slightly harder pull than some of the others, so it will take some time. And what is it about Hopkinton? What is it about that you see for the future, next 5 years or so?
Well, first off, I see the opportunity to maintain, the school system. And in maintaining the school system, you have a couple of constraints. One is each year those costs continue to increase. And the only way that the town can provide more funds is to increase the tax base, which you can do a couple of ways, is increase my tax bill every year or continue to develop the town. And with that pressure of development becomes, sort of the constraint of developing the town in such a way that it continues to foster the same community that we moved here for. We moved here for a suburban feel. We didn't move here for sort of an urban metro feel. If I wanted that, I could have stayed in Providence, I could have gone to Boston. So I think with the Board of Appeals is that in every position in town government, it really has to be a look at what is in the best interest of the town, what is in the best interest of the town going forward, which preserves sort of the feel that we have in Hopkinton. And to me, that feeling is a tight-knit community. That feeling is a look out. I mean, I bumped into Alex's third grade teacher yesterday or Sunday at the grocery store, right? And there's sort of this feeling of, for lack of a better term, it's a very family-oriented type of environment. So I think it would be the obligation on each person that's serving in town government, in whatever capacity, is to maintain that sort of continuity that we've had in Hopkinton.
All set, Mary Jo?
I just, that continuity, which I agree with in some ways, is what brings us many more children. Which brings us.
We love children, however. We do. We do. We love children.
We love children. We do. But we also have to figure out how to keep our seniors here.
Yeah.
In their homes. Not in senior housing, because they don't pay taxes in senior housing. So in their own homes, and that's going to be difficult. Affordable housing is going to be difficult.
I'm gonna
And
go.
I don't mean to lecture. I'm sorry.
No, but it's not the planning board too, right? It's the Board of Appeals, so it's a little bit different.
It's appropriations, but funds.
It's the Board of Appeals, Mary Jo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, go ahead, Amy.
Easier lift.
So just because this board they can't just decide what they want. They have to look at our bylaws and our zoning bylaws and determine whether it's allowed or not. Not because we want this other business, but if it's not allowed, we can't allow it. And you're an attorney, so I'm sure you understand that too. And then, yeah, this is a really tough one because Walter Garland's been on a long time, but it is nice to have a fresh, a new perspective too. So that's a tough decision, I think. But you wouldn't be involved in your real estate law business. I guess you'd have to recuse yourself if anything came up that you were involved in as an attorney.
Yeah, so my real estate practice really is more on the creditor's rights side of it. And the litigation that I've done in that has been more of the financial side.
Okay.
In my current practice, I don't represent land developers.
That are trying to change zoning. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Get
do
variances.
that kind of work anymore.
Okay. All right. I don't think I really have any questions.
We're fine.
Related to that, I'm also an attorney, and I've found that there have been plenty of times when I've been, conflicted out. So I just want to make sure that you understand, what the conflicts are. You're an attorney, I'm sure you understand that, but then there's specific things that may extend to the rest of your firm. I know Orleans is a big firm doing foreclosures and all that. So just want you to consider that there may be times where you need to recuse.
Oh, yeah. That's a step. In each case, we have to take a look at.
Yeah.
Whether it's someone in the practice or myself, maybe 20 years ago, I represented somebody.
Well, so there's that, and then there's also the conflicts from the town's perspective. So, and you'll watch a video on that, so you'll get up to speed.
And generally, I think it's good to have someone with a legal background because they understand the bylaws for how they work.
Absolutely, I would welcome a legal mind on the Board of Appeals.
Shahidul, do you have any questions?
Thank you for stepping up, and you have an excellent background, and I like what I heard, and I'm with Amy. It's very hard. Walter has been a great contributor and served really well, but I do see your background fitting in quite well and also adding value. One question I have is, is this particularly what you would be interested in? Obviously for now, but if it doesn't work out, would you be open to joining other boards to serve the community?
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you again. We'll make a hard decision, of course, and but thank you for stepping up. And no matter what the outcome is, I hope you and Walter stay interested and continue to serve our community in any way you would love to.
Can I just ask if we have Walter on the Zoom?
No.
Okay. So people have asked my questions. I passed them forward. But I actually served on the Board of Appeals for a bright and shining moment and many years ago, and really respect the charge of the Board of Appeals, and am actually really drawn to the fact that you have a legal background and you've elected to volunteer your time in that direction. It is always hard when we have two applicants for the same position, but I really appreciate that you stepped forward, and I think that the Board of Appeals would be lucky to have you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll entertain a motion on the appointment.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Sean Masterson as an associate member of the Board of Appeals to a term expiring June 30th, 2026.
Second that.
Okay, we have a second, and by roll call vote, Shahidul?
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Mary Jo?
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Amy Erdobush, yes?
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Thank you very much. And Alex, beautiful job. Who's your teacher this year?
Mrs.
Nice. Well, have a good rest of your year. Have a good break. Here comes the vacation. That's really what you need to focus on. All right.
Best part of this week.
Yeah, amen.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for stepping up.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre would be shocked to know that we are ahead of schedule on our agenda. So if you are prepared to start a couple minutes early, we are prepared. Are you waiting for anybody else?
Well, I'm always waiting for someone, but I invited the other members of the board, but
Well, it's up to you. If you, I mean, we have a couple things we could do if you want to wait, or you could just go ahead and start. Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, you got your cheering squad.
And did Ben have the slideshow?
All right, so next up is the facility planning study.
good evening. Dan McIntyre, Chairman of the Permanent Building Committee. When I was before your board last March, we talked about expanding our scope of work to include not only Center School, but Elmwood School, anticipating that it's going to be a school soon, which proved to be true. And also this building and Fruit Street, to see how all the major town assets could be used to meet our needs of the town. So we're not done yet. We still have work to do, which I'll get to at the end of the presentation. But we thought this would be a good time to come in and update the board with the event that Norman's going to be leaving us soon.
Great.
So, here we go. So as I said, we're looking at Center School, Elmwood School, Fruit Street, and Town Hall, this building here. So our first step was to complete the detailed needs study and space study. And that involved numerous meetings with department heads and town staff to determine exactly what they do, how much space, pretty much how their jobs function. Our architects sat down with them and did all that. And the results of that were that we converted those needs into physical space requirements. The next thing we did was a community outreach. We held 2 public forums. We met with the planning board, I think twice. We met with the Historic Commission, not this most recent time, but before we met with the Historic Commission. We met with the school superintendent, Parks and Rec chair, Chamber of Commerce, and I also met with individual butters of Center School to see how they felt about anything at Center School. We can flip the slide. So all that resulted in a lot of information, The architectural planning study, the results of that was that we need about 30% more space than we currently have to meet our current staffing levels and the current programs. So we're shy by quite a bit of space. Also, we learned that the school superintendent would like to move the integrated pre-K out of Marathon. That's a growing program. They're running out of space out there. And if it was moved out, it would open up a number of classrooms for other uses at Marathon. So that was kind of a new thing that came up. It wasn't part of the Center School Reuse Committee. That's a big project right there in itself, an integrated pre-K program. Gymnasium, obviously we lost the gymnasium at Center School. Parks and Rec would like that replaced because they have a lot of programs that use the gymnasium. Community meeting spaces, all of the staff needed meeting spaces. There would be public meeting spaces for boards like this, just daily meeting spaces where staff could get together, talk to townspeople that come in on projects, things like that. And they all mentioned storage as well. Storage was a big thing. When we first heard storage, we were thinking paper records and things like that, but it's actually much more than that. Things like Parks and Rec, Youth and Family Services, they have a lot of equipment for the programs. They've got beds and tables and chairs and banners and all kinds of things that are just scattered all over town. The police chief chimed in. He'd like to he's got an emergency boat down there for rescues. They'd like to get that in a weather-tight enclosure as well to protect that asset. As far as the community outreach went, there's a whole list of things that came up. We tried to kind of put it into common themes. I'm sure you've all heard those before. But number one, more affordable housing. And that's the big A affordable, which would qualify as part of our 10%. But there was a lot of discussion about the small A affordable. How can we incentivize builders to build, less expensive homes, not the $1 million and $2 million homes? Another one was increased housing increases pressures on the schools. We're all aware of that. Open space. The next two, downtown business expansion, downtown parking, that came up quite a bit. The next one, the current town hall can serve other purposes. This was in response to a question that we had. Does town government need to be downtown? And the answer was split on that. Some people thought it should be.
Yep.
Others said it doesn't have to be. Community meeting spaces, same as town staff. Taxpayers felt that there should be more meeting spaces. Again, discourage high-density zoning, which has the impacts on the schools. Consider abutter impacts. That certainly makes sense no matter what project we do. Expand the cultural arts opportunities. There's a lot of arts activities in town. The Cultural Council is looking at creating a cultural district with the state. It seems to make sense to do that as part of our project. And finally, the finances. Large capital projects are just taxing people out of town. We heard that a lot. So we really need to consider how we can use our town assets to help reduce the tax burden when we do capital projects. So as much outreach as we do, or really as any committee does, we never reach everybody. Not everybody comes out at these meetings. So we felt it important to reference the master plan and the vision statement, which is our collective vision for how we want to see the town in the future. And in our case, there's a number of things in the vision statement and master plan directly related to the downtown improvement and Center School. We want to increase community and commercial activity in the downtown. We want attractive streetscapes, which we've started. It's not quite done yet, but we're working on that. We got to respect our history and our heritage. And again, on the financing part of it, The master plan and vision statement thought that public-private partnerships could help ease the tax burden as we build new things for the town needs. We can skip the slide. Next slide. So putting that all together, our architect came up with 5 different scenarios using those 4 town sites that I mentioned. And the basis of each of these scenarios is that we meet town needs first, and then we go on to the other sites to try to meet other town needs and goals. But meeting town department staff needs first was our first criteria. So scenario A is we split up town hall. As I mentioned, we need 30% more space. We just don't all fit in this building anymore. So we're going to split town departments between this building and something new at Center School. Scenario B would be to expand this building. We looked at bumping out the back of this building to create more space and keep everybody together in an effort to optimize the managerial and operating efficiencies of just keeping all the departments together. The next one was to just abandon this building and build a new municipal center over at Center School, keep everybody together over there. Similar to that, scenario D was to abandon this building and move everybody to Elmwood. And then option E is very similar to option D. We move everybody to Elmwood. The only difference is what we do with this building here, and I'll get to that in a moment. You can go on to the next slide. So there's a lot going on these slides.
Perhaps they would have been better one little square per slide.
So I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on this first slide because some of the uses at different areas are common to all the options. But what we did was we split all the different needs onto the 4 different properties. So under scenario A, we are kind of renovating, a small renovation to this to kind of optimize space for certain departments. And then we felt that Youth and Family Services and Parks and Rec should be moved to Center School. Those two departments do a lot of work together, so we felt keeping them together was important. Both Don and at the time Jay felt that they worked well together. They thought they should stay together. So that would be in a new building at Center School. Would renovate the 1928 building, and that would probably be the community meeting spaces, a community center, public meeting spaces, things of that nature. There's also, part of this is a big activity room. It's kind of shown as a gymnasium there. It probably wouldn't be a true gymnasium, but really a big activity rooms for the programs that Parks and Rec and Youth and Family Services do that are kind of non-sports oriented. And there's also an outdoor playground or field of some sort. We did show 2 other buildings in there that possibility could be housing in there if we wanted to try to offset the cost of this with housing. But the more we looked at it, the less we thought that was desirable under this particular scenario. We felt that trying to add housing in there with the other town uses probably wouldn't be a good fit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't mean to, well, I do mean to interrupt, actually, point of fact. Did we consider a rec center proper in these considerations?
It depends what you mean by rec center.
Well, a youth rec facility, a youth center proper. You know, we've talked for a long time. Yes.
We talked about, we struggled with what a youth center really is.
Okay.
What it came down to was basically we need space, big open spaces or spaces we could partition off. And that was the intent of that large
Okay.
gymnasium-looking building over there.
Okay.
Would be the youth center or the community center.
All right, thank you.
Under this scenario, we didn't see any uses for Elmwood School. It could be that we just keep Elmwood the way it is and land bank it for future unknown uses. The former fire chief thought this would be a good spot for a fire station. We didn't really pursue that because that was a little bit beyond our scope. But so one of the options is just to keep Elmwood as is for some future unknown use. Now we know that keeping a vacant building is inexpensive. So there's also an option where we could just raise the building and keep the land. And finally, the third option is to just sell Elmwood property outright for housing. Under current zoning, it would be single-family housing. If we were to rezone it, we could get a higher density housing, more value for the town to help with offsetting the tax increases from building a new building at Center School.
Did we talk about the MBTA zoning in regards to that?
We did. Some of our conversations with the planning board was the MBTA zoning. They had, I think they had placed the overlay on Elmwood property, and they also placed it on the Center School property as well. Our discussions with the planning board felt that we didn't think it was a good idea to put it on Center School because it may affect our options that we do there. We didn't really have an opinion on Elmwood at all. And I'm not sure how they've left Elmwood. Is Elmwood still in the overlay district? I'm not sure either. But,
Elaine can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're currently considering the Carboni's property, the land, the Forest Lane area, and then some parcels right in the very center of downtown, like with the Hopkins and Drug is and a few more around there, I believe. Is that right?
I don't know.
You don't know? Oh, that's the last meeting I watched. Oh, but Mary Ellen maybe watched those meetings too. Okay.
but selling that property to help offset our costs is certainly on the table. If we could slip to the next slide, option B. Option B is the one where we knock out this building, add additional space to here, and we fit all the departments in here. Parking becomes a critical aspect of this option. Would certainly build out the Walcott Street parking lot, but the expansion would eliminate any existing parking we have here. So I think it would be critical to work a deal with Bill's Pizza to expand their parking lot. I think that would be necessary for this particular option. At Center School, that's open for development. We're not proposing any town uses there. As you know, Center School is split into two different parcels. There's a front parcel of about 6 acres, a back parcel of about 5 acres. We felt that the back parcel should be left as open space, green space in the downtown area. Peter Lagoy has trails planned for there. We think that's a good use for that. And the front 6 acres would be the development. Now, we don't know exactly what type of development would go in there. We're thinking some sort of commercial development to enhance the downtown revitalization, expand our commercial tax base to help the residential taxpayers somewhat. But that's one of the unknowns that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Again, on this one, Elmwood School, same as option A. We don't really have any uses for it at this time. We can land bank it, we could sell it. All options are on the table for Elmwood. Over on Fruit Street, we felt that Fruit Street was where we should have our active, sports-oriented recreation. We think a new gymnasium over there would be prudent for Parks and Rec. They agree with that. They think it would be a nice spot for a gymnasium along next to their sports fields. We also think that a new building for the facilities department would fit over on Fruit Street. Right now, facilities has no space at all. The employees essentially work out of their cars, going to different sites to maintain these buildings. There's no storage for whatever the light bulbs, toilet paper, whatever they need to run these buildings. They need storage for that type of stuff. So we think we could build a building over there, and certainly not a Taj Mahal building. We're looking at kind of a garage, a metal building type garage to house them. And then under the Fruit Street Master Plan, affordable housing is already included in that, so we don't see any need to change that, and that kind of checks the box for affordable housing. Next slide. Option C, this is where we abandon this building and move everything to Center School. So what can we do with this building? One thought is we could take the school administration, get them out of lease space, bring them down here. They're spending roughly $100,000 a year on lease space. If we brought them down here, we could reduce that. Certainly, we wouldn't save $100,000 because there's operating costs to this building. But, there would be a savings by bringing them down here. For the record, when I talked to the school superintendent, they don't want to move. They like where they are. We could sell this building for development. This could be housing, some sort of retail. Again, parking may be an issue for a developer buying this. We could also renovate it as housing. We could deed it over to the Housing Authority. They could put some senior apartments in here. That was the use that came up during our public outreach. Again, parking is always an issue, it seems like. So we would need to definitely build the Walcott Street parking lot. And if we could expand the Bill's parking lot, that may be beneficial as well for any use in this particular building. So at Center School, we're looking at a new municipal complex. This would house all of our departments. It would have everything that's in Town Hall now. We'd incorporate some space for future growth. We would have the youth center. We'd have, in this particular option, we actually put a gym up here as well, so we'd have a gym in the downtown area, outdoor recreation as well, and then reserve some space for that integrated pre-K. It seems like a good site for that, because I'm pretty sure at some point it's coming, and the school committee is going to want that out of Marathon School and have the town pick up the tab for that. So we wanted to reserve space for that integrated pre-K program. And again, Elmwood, under this scenario, no need for that, for Elmwood School, for any of the current town needs. And over on Fruit Street, where we build a formal gym up at Center School, we wouldn't build a gym at Fruit Street. We would just build a facilities building. Next slide. Option D, this is again where we abandon Town Hall. Like I said, we could move school administration down here, we could sell it, we could have housing in here. Center School remains open for the downtown revitalization aspect of the vision statement. We would try to get some sort of commercial development in there or mixed-use development. Elmwood School becomes the new town hall. That current building down there is almost 60,000 square feet. It's a very big building. It's more than we would need much more than we would need for town departments. But we could incorporate the integrated pre-K in part of that program as an area totally separate from town hall departments. We have a gym in there that's in decent shape that Parks and Rec would love to move into right now. And it's 19 acres, there's plenty of parking down there. So we think that is a real good spot for a new town hall. There's even enough room in there, we could put facilities in there as well. Even if we had to build another small garage for facilities, there's room there to do that. And then over at Fruit Street, we wouldn't propose anything for Fruit Street under this alternative. I mentioned that there's an option D, which is very similar to this, except the building that we're sitting in now would remain a town asset. So we would have some presence in the downtown for Youth and Family Services, Parks and Rec to do their other non-sports programs down here. So when all of the rascals from school come down here in early release, they'd have some place to come here. We could have programs in this particular building. So we thought that would be good. We split it out as a separate option, but like I say, they're very close, but we think it would be good to keep a presence in the downtown for those type of uses, that community center. Next slide. So this is a very high-level screening of those 5 options we just talked about. We looked at meeting department space needs, all green there, and the legend is green is positive.
Is good.
Green is good. Yellow is neutral, and red is
Not the best.
thank you. So we felt all met needs. We have space for everybody. Municipal operational facility efficiency. The first one where we split departments up, we didn't think that was a good idea when we talked to management. They would like to try to keep everyone together, which seems to make sense. On future space for expansion, any town uses of this particular building for department space, there's no room for expansion here. Even if we bump that out, we'd outgrow it in a few years. There's no doubt about that. As town departments continue to grow, as our programs expand, as more people come into town, we're just going to need more space in the future. So we rated both options A and B as bad for future expansion. Adequate parking, where we split the 2 functions, we gave that kind of a neutral because we'll have a lot of parking over at Center School. We'll have less parking here, but we gave that a neutral because we have the parking at Center School. Expanding this current location, we thought would just be a nightmare for parking, so we gave that a red. The other options are good on parking. Abutting land use impacts, we left this as an unknown right now. No matter what we do at any of the sites, there's going to be...
That is to be determined, is what that is.
And we wanted, before we're done with our study, we want to determine what those impacts are. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Supporting the downtown vision statement. We didn't think that splitting up town hall and using Center School for department needs would forward that vision. There's kind of a split on that. Some people think that, municipal center in the downtown would be a good thing for downtown revitalization. Others think that it should be more business-oriented, so it's a draw for everybody to come down here. Not everybody goes to town hall, but if it was a business, small shops, a restaurant, that could be a draw to the downtown. So there's a split on that. So we gave that a neutral color for the two options, A and B, where we use Center School for municipal needs. The other options leave Center School open for development, so we gave that a positive based on our interpretation of the vision statement and the master plan. Opportunity to expand the tax base. This is where we're trying to bring in more commercial tax base into town. And again, where we use an asset like Center School for municipal, we're not paying taxes on that, whereas if we use it for commercial activities, we can expand the tax base by using Center School. Affordable housing, there's kind of two aspects of that. We left it green on all the options because we have affordable housing in the Fruit Street Master Plan. So there's affordable housing there. And then any of the options where we have housing. If we try to put a mixed-use development Center School for housing, we would try to incorporate affordable housing into any purchase and sale agreement for housing on that property. Likewise, Elmwood, if we sold Elmwood for housing, we would incorporate into the sale agreement that we must have affordable housing. So there's a couple of ways we can handle affordable housing. Open space, in all of the options, we're keeping the back 5 acres of Center School as open space. So we rated all of the options as green for that. When it came down to cost, this is another one that we're not quite done on yet, but as a preview, we think that any work at Center School is going to be the highest cost work versus Elmwood. And we came to that conclusion based on the fact that Center School is going to involve a demolition of the older sections. We've got hazardous material we've got to deal with. We've got new construction that we're going to be building for any new buildings. And we're keeping the 1928 building, so there would be the cost of a historical renovation of that building. So that's why we feel that's going to be the highest cost as compared to Elmwood, where we're renovating a non-historic building. But it's expensive. No matter what we do, it's going to be expensive. But Center School, we feel, is going to be more expensive than Elmwood. But that is one of the things that we want to try to resolve before we present the final report to your board. Next slide. So next steps, we want to fill in the blanks. Right now, we don't think we have enough data to come to a conclusion to make an informed decision. Permanent Building Committee doesn't feel that. I don't think the Board of Selectmen would feel that as well, based on the information we have. And it mostly revolves around Center School. Is Center School attractive to commercial developers? Chamber of Commerce certainly thinks so, based on the letter I received from them. Others are not so sure. The only way to find out is to, ask them. What's the economic impact of Center School? Can we really increase our tax base by developing that, and by how much? Is there any value to a developer of Center School? Will we actually get a cash infusion by selling that property? We don't know the answer to that yet. And the effect on the abutting properties, the historic character of the town common. Again, a big unknown with commercial development because we really don't know what type of uses the developer thinks is going to be viable there. So our next step is to issue a formal RFP for Center School out to developers. We'd like to do that during the winter of 2024, and this will provide our answers on is it of value to developers to build there. We'll see how much response we get from that RFP to answer that question. And the RFP is very detailed on the amount of information we're asking the developers to submit, so we can make decisions on costs, tax revenue, impacts. So I think it's a very important part of our project to get this done so we can get the answer to those questions that people are going to be asking us. And we think we can get that done and have a report finalized for May of 2024 town meeting. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation. I can take questions now.
I have a couple, and then I'll go to the board. Just for clarification, the two proposals for A and B that involved Town Hall and Center School, is pre-K considered in those two? I don't remember you saying it. The pre-K needs, all of them. Okay, so no matter what we did, we would be addressing the pre-K. Okay, appreciate that.
Whether we actually address the pre-K issue is a matter of funding, but we are addressing the space for that.
Understood. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure. What is the size of the back parcel? You might have said it at Center School.
About 5 acres, about 5.5.
So it's 6 and 5?
Yeah.
I was a little surprised to see that parking was a concern, like wasn't a full green, just because there's so much space at Center School. So I feel like that's kind of open.
Well, it's not an issue over there. The issue is the remaining departments in this building have a parking problem. They have a parking problem now. They're going to have a parking problem in the future. We're not resolving the parking issue on this particular site, so that's why we gave it the neutral.
Okay, but if we maintain Center School property and we did something with it, we would have parking there,
yes,
too, for either of those. Okay. The only other thing that I appreciate, by the way, I appreciate all this work, all this outreach, and all this information in a comprehensive, thoughtful package for people to exchange with. It's really, really well done and really important because it's complicated, right? The only thing I wanted to say out loud, and I'm not exactly sure that there's any cost savings to be had, but I know that in projections for the capital plan, we had estimated renovation, the historic piece of the Center School, at about $20 million. That's an estimate that I don't know how much validity it has, but that's what we had estimated. It had been carrying forward. And we had estimated, somebody had estimated about $20 million for the pre-K. And there's some opportunity to capitalize on spending one of those $20 million if we reuse Center School and also incorporate all the uses. I just want to make sure I capture that thought too. If it's important to hold on to it, it can be a little less of a cost impact comparatively to all the town needs, potentially.
No, that's exactly right. If we kind of integrate the town building program with the pre-K program,
yeah,
I think there is some savings there if we did it all at once.
yeah,
The price tag is going to be high no matter what.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
what you say is true for Center School. It's also maybe even more true for Elmwood.
Right.
If we did both of those down in Elmwood.
Right, and then in either of those options, potentially, you're talking about disposing of one of the properties too, right? There's a lot of big ticket exchanges that could potentially happen that
Given, $20 million has been on the table for a number of years there, I think I blurted that out at town meeting once and it stuck.
Is it you that we have to blame? Great.
So there's going to be pressure on us, you, to sell some assets to help pay for this.
Yep. Then the other two more points, and then I want to make sure other people have a chance to ask questions. I know that Fruit Street has been master plan. The master plan includes affordable housing, but I also know that there are a great many hurdles in that location, not the least of which is we own it and we'd be the developer, unless we did some fancy sale of a portion of land and so forth. So that's a complicating factor. I'm not saying it keeps us from realizing the affordable housing potential out there, but also the location is a little challenging just because it is not closer to downtown and
Yeah,
walkable.
and I think we felt something similar to that while we think Fruit Street can give us a large impact on our 10% by building out there, and this came up at the planning board discussion.
Yeah.
That we think affordable housing should be integrated through the community as
Yeah,
well.
I know. That's something that is so much more sort of best practice and attractive, right? Hard to do in some of the building that's happening right now. It's for real, it's challenging, but it is without a doubt.
But just like
Attractive.
selling Central School or selling Elmwood School to help offset tax increases, selling part of Fruit Street for the affordable housing should also be on the table.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the town should be the developer.
I really, really, really agree with you. Like with everything in my being, like down to my toes, I agree with you. It's just something we aren't in the business of doing, so why would we jump into the business of doing it? And then the only other thing I want to make sure for my purposes we don't lose, and I don't think you mentioned it, but I don't think it's part of the calculus of what we're talking about with these options are the needs of the fire department, and really considering what those needs are for the future, and if we have to sort of prioritize that in this information exchange, right? They may have outgrown their spot. Maybe they haven't, I don't know. Maybe their needs are not. But I think we really have to think in this process what their future needs are today. I mean, I think they have very limited space, and they're very tight.
There is, and that's why the comment of building a new fire station at Elmwood School came up.
Right.
Because they felt that they're very limited on Main Street.
Right.
They weren't sure, I guess it depends on who's sitting in the chief's seat, I guess. The previous chief wouldn't have any qualms of leaving Main Street and building something new at Elmwood or
Yep.
South Street or something else. Others think that we should have a presence downtown.
Downtown. And there's something to that in terms of their business, right? We'd have to understand it from their business, what they need to get done and where they need to get to, when they need to get there. So we'd have to factor that in, right? That's a big question. Okay, I really appreciate it. Thank you for the time. I'll go down to you, Mary Jo.
Well, I had some of the same thoughts you had, and I'm one of those who likes to see a fire presence in the downtown, but I also came from a town that we had a lot of small satellite fire stations, and as the town grows and we have to get places faster, and as the traffic grows, everything gets harder. I think that other places for a smaller station or a part of a station is definitely something to be thought of and looked into. The housing at Center School, I know that the state does the housing for our senior housing, and now they've gotten to the point of where there's no preference for the people from this town. In other words, you apply for state housing, and they'll tell you what's available, and if you don't want to go to that town, you get put back at the bottom of the list. And, it's different. And I would like to have someone give some thought to the town providing some affordable housing that's not state-run or state-mandated for the citizens of Hopkinton that are elderly and need help. And
that was kind of the discussion of this building, making this into senior apartments or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got into the discussion, well, the town's not really in that business.
I know.
So the housing authority came up. We don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
So there are the state limitations, right, Mary Jo, not to use...
There are what?
They're the state limitations that you just mentioned,
The
right?
state had built it, or helped out with it, and it was state financed a lot of it. And so now they have this new no preference law that we can't just have preference for people from Hopkinton. In other words, I was pretty much told that if I applied for senior housing and something opened up in Lowell, they would tell me there's something opened up, somewhere else in the state, and if I didn't want to move or take it, and why would I, because everybody I know is here, I would have to go back to the bottom of the list and see what opens up. And
I bet you didn't like that.
well, I wasn't. I find how equitable it is, and I know that we have a lot of people now from Newton and Brookline and places like that in Hopkinton, but and that's fine. Everybody's getting along fine, but I don't want to be put in a position where I have to be somewhere where I don't know anybody in my late 70s or 80s or whatever. I'm not planning on going tomorrow, by the way, or even applying. But it was an opportunity, and I was down there talking to them, and this is what basically I have been told. And then the state rep at the time said, you didn't ask for any preference or anything, did you? I said, no. So, I have been talking to them about it too, and it's going to be a real need for it as we go on, or a need to figure out really how we're going to keep our seniors in their homes.
Yeah.
If the town wanted to get into the building business, there's a nice building right here to do that in. But it's one more asset that would have to be landlords then, would have to take care of it. Del Toro doesn't have that much hair left. He'd be...
Well, I'm just, my thought was if it's not state mandated and if it's our own town housing, then we could probably give some preference.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get you in a lot.
That's important.
Okay, none of that now. Amy.
I may not even be around by then, but, that and center school. I'm one of those that I don't really have any objections to splitting the town hall between here and center school. And one of the reasons I'm thinking is that all of the financial departments can be together, and then all of the other departments like planning where you want to spread out and see plans, or the assessing where you need maps and more room for people to actually. I mean, there isn't any now, to actually see things. Everything's been made miniature or smaller or, whatever. And I can see, Parks and Rec, I can see a lot of different departments at Center School that don't need to be here. And this could be the financial center of the town. And it's just, you come pay bills and all that sort of thing. And it's only a walk across the common. I don't have a problem with that concept. That's all.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Amy?
I have a couple of comment suggestions and then a couple questions. You mentioned a lot about the center school abutters because that was your original focus of the plan, but I just want to make sure we're also talking to town hall abutters because I talked to some at town meeting that were kind of surprised that we were even bringing up the parking lot. So I just want to make sure they're included in the conversation for what happens at town hall. And the same with the Elmwood school neighbors.
Yeah.
Because they know now after the vote that something's going to happen with that site, but they don't know. They'd probably like to give feedback.
And we did have, in our first public forum, we had quite a few Elmwood abutters there.
Okay.
At the second one, I think it was mostly Center School abutters. The second one.
And then, let's see. From my perspective, too, I really like the idea more of C, of all the town hall services being at the center school, especially the youth and family piece with the gyms and a youth center. That kids can't really walk to either the Elmwood School site or the Fruit Street site from school. And I think there's really a need for that, for activities for kids that they could get to easily after school. And then also, I noticed you mentioned a lot of times how the center school is a historic district building, and so we would try to preserve that building. But I just want to make sure town hall is also in the historic district, so the front of town hall would also have to be preserved. And that wasn't noted so much. And I really thought that, I know we designated affordable housing at Fruit Street, but I really feel like Elmwood makes a lot more sense for affordable housing because you could walk to the Lumber Street area, you could walk conceivably to downtown if needed. Whereas if you're all the way out at Fruit Street and you only have one car in your family, nobody, you can't get where you need to really. Let's see. And then, if we send out an RFP, we would, right now we haven't changed zoning at Center School, so would people apply for anything more than just, it's zoned residential, I believe?
It's zoned residential, so anything other than essentially single-family homes would need a zoning change. Except
So-
municipal uses are exempt, of course, but.
So would people bother to submit responses knowing that we might not even be able to change zoning?
Well, that is a risk, but the RFP states that if the town receives a proposal that is beneficial to the town in terms of meeting its vision statement, economics, and depending on what is actually proposed there, we would work with the developer, either through a local initiative program or through a rezoning to do something at Center School. But yes, it would be a process to do that.
Yeah. And I believe I heard that you can change zoning now if you're increasing housing, I think by a 50% vote. Is that right? Do you know that? If you're increasing housing, but if you're decreasing housing to make some of it commercial, it's still the 2/3 majority, right? So that does make it challenging. And let's see, what was my other point? Oh, and then I was curious about first, this is really helpful, all this information, and I came the other night too, so I've heard it before. I was confused about, or surprised, I guess, on the option C, why it doesn't support the downtown vision as much as some of the others. Because it seems like to me it would if we abandoned town hall as a town use, this whole lot, probably in 6 Walcott too, could be expanded for some commercial or mixed use development. So I was just curious how you downgraded that one to the yellow versus the
Well,
green.
on this particular building, we didn't see real desirable area for commercial development in this particular building. Primarily because of the floors. We've got a first floor that might be some commercial there. We run into parking issues on this particular site. That's a problem for really all our downtown businesses is parking. So that's kind of why we downgraded this particular building. We didn't see really any no developers are knocking down the door to get into this particular building.
It's just so funny because even though it is really right in the middle of a commercial district with other businesses. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. Okay, and then how does, and it also got downgraded on the opportunity to expand the tax base. But if we're just doing housing at Center School, it doesn't seem like that expands the tax base either. And I think the hope is that we would change zoning.
Well, the expanding of the tax base is expanding the commercial tax base. Certainly if we build more houses, we're going to generate more taxes, but it's all residential tax. So we want to expand it into a commercial tax base. And that's where Center School comes into play with the vision statement.
If we change zoning.
I think it specifically says by 2025, we will make the downtown with more shops and accessible and all that kind of thing. And Center School the Center School property is kind of right where we want to be to meet that vision.
Okay.
Not everybody agrees with that. I understand.
All right, thank you. I really do appreciate all the work, and it's put together.
Thank you.
No questions. I think you've done a fantastic job. I love how seems like you've done a lot of work and presented it well. From my perspective, it seems to me that we really need to find out about Center School. So the idea was to put out an RFP for private development of the Center School property, and I think that's going to give us a lot more information as to how we want to proceed. Even any of the options where we're using Center School, if the cost of renovation is going to exceed the commercial use, and I think that kind of changes the analytics. So keep it up and look forward to hearing.
All right, I appreciate it.
So Shahidul, do you have some questions?
Yeah, just a couple. I think you all covered it pretty well, but just some clarifications. And thank you for doing an excellent job with a lot of analysis and providing the picture of so many opportunities, so many options. I do think that this is a great opportunity for us in the town to optimize and expand on our vision on so many fronts. I think, and you mentioned them very well. In my mind, the three key areas I look at is how can we optimize, of course, our town administration, school administration, lower the cost, and make optimal usage of things, which is covered. Second is how do we extend or expand and facilitate our downtown vision, as well as senior and affordable housing vision. And third, but not the least, is how can we garner new revenue for reducing the tax burden and helping out our capital projects. And it's a lot of variable to work with, and you've done a fantastic job in laying it out in so many angles. And we want to do all of these, of course, keeping our town character and history and our historical sites, preserving those. So how do we solve for this? I think you have quite a few options. We'll need to process those more, and you have obviously, and your team has gone through various exercises with various bodies and town experts. One thing I didn't see is you likely haven't got to meet with Affordable Housing Committee. That could be one, just to hear their voice as well on some of these. But you have covered a lot on that front. Of course, that's at the core of the principles. I can see that. In general, of course, I think more to process, discuss, and I agree. We need to move forward with the RFP so we have more specific data, and in order to do that, take care of the logistics that we may need to do. But in general, if I read this correctly, and I may, again, process it at a better time, the option to extend current town hall and accommodate school administration seems to be the lowest cost, and we can also save 100,000 on school administration building rental. So that stood out to me. Then on center school, all the options, I think there are more data to have, especially on some of the cost aspects, some of the revenue potentials and all that. One thing I'm just thinking, and I think we got a recommendation from Chambers as well, is to have senior housing there. And I see the benefits being that, we won't be likely have more burden on the schools, but increase the tax base and also help out in many ways our senior citizens. And I just want to add to that in order to do that, we should explore how can we keep the historical site preservation, maybe keeping the facade or keeping part of it as a historical site, and then working on the rest to achieve this objective and garner some revenue if there is a potential. And on the Elmwood side, excuse me, I think it would be ideal to get everything in one place, but it may not be logistically that great for school administration and some of the others. And for fire department also, I think we definitely can look at that and see if fire department, the second fire station, can be there, and that would help us with other capital project dollars. I think it's about 12 million that we're looking at there. But generally that there's another factor there for location, for optimizing the response time, and that's why it may need to be further on the other side of the town. But we can explore that. And I think I heard from my colleagues too, that stands out more for affordable housing to me, and potentially, private-public collaboration that can garner some additional revenue for other capital projects. And Fruit Street, I think on all of those almost it's showing as affordable housing, which certainly is a lucrative opportunity, an option. One thing I heard, and we may need to dive in the cost side of it, is that it's not fully ready, utility and other access-wise. So how much would that add to our cost and viability and some of those, some of those aspects. But overall, I'm happy to see so many options, so much good analysis, and let's keep the conversation going and let's get some of the action going. Actually, I would really look for some actions to take these opportunities at a very critical time for our town when we are seeing growth. We need revenue, revitalize our town, downtown, and I think the first one I should have started, definitely want to make a comfortable and enough and suitable office space for our town employees and school employees and school administration. So I'll pause there and thank you again for all the great work. I'm sure it's to be continued.
Thanks, Shahidul. I know we have kind of gone over time. This is really, really exceptionally helpful, and a conversation.
He did mention, and I'm not sure if it came clear, but in all the options, at least the 1928 section of Center School, we're preserving that to be incorporated into either a commercial development or town building. So that is being saved.
Unless we
saving this building.
And
Yeah. The only thing I want to, and I know I talked way too long, but I respond to RFPs all the time in my professional world. And I wonder if I can just suggest that when we structure the RFP, we include this big picture visioning and how whatever solution somebody has for Center School, because we're targeting Center School, but for our purposes, it moves a lot of pieces around the imaginary chessboard. And it's certainly possible that we can ask respondents to tell us how they think, it furthers the movement of the town needs. The bigger picture, yeah. What's that? Yeah, no, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify too, in your document, you talk a lot about expanding the tax base, but you're not talking about reducing the tax burden, right? Nobody thinks that the taxes would really go down, right? Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that, right.
Even when it said taxes are going to come back down after the school starts to get paid up, I don't think anybody believes that.
Right, okay. Just want to be clear, we're expanding tax base, not decreasing.
Yeah.
Taxes, but maybe.
But also expanding the tax base is a big boon, is a big boost. I mean.
The commercial tax base is.
Yes.
We don't have the commercial pressures on the school or other town services. It's more income into the town than a residence where we send the kids to school and whatever else happens.
Again, we love.
Sometimes increasing the commercial base makes the town more desirable, and thus more people want to move in. And
it's okay.
You can't win.
I don't think so. I think, a nice restaurant over there, I think it would be desirable.
Yeah. I just looked at Hudson, and I was disappointed that they've had all that expansion in the last 10 years, and their taxes have just gone up. The percentage of tax per household is more than it used to be. And I was surprised. I thought they had found a solution. They had not.
Lots of moving pieces on this proverbial chessboard, right? I really, really appreciate your work and the work of everyone who has contributed and who has been part of the work with you. So thank you very much.
If I may, too.
Yes.
Through the chair, Dan, yeoman's work. I really want to acknowledge the honest effort that has gone into this project. And also to underscore the fact that the decision on the RFP is based on the committee having issued an RFI, request for interest, and there were some responses that led to, I think, where we are now. Secondly, also want to confirm, based on our discussions, that the public engagement continues.
So let me just say, the RFP responses would not be limited to people who have previously responded,
Correct.
right? So it's wide open. Thank you.
We're
Okay.
actually working on kind of a marketing plan and getting it out, a wide distribution on this.
So what do you do in your free time, Mr. McIntyre? Nice. Well, we really appreciate this an awful lot. This is,
If you indulge me for one more minute.
Yeah.
With Norman leaving, I just want to publicly thank him for all his work on this and all the work we've done together for the last 15 years. It's been fun. Gonna miss you.
I'll miss you, Dan. Thank you.
that was worth the moment.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
All right.
Danny?
All right.
Of course.
Okay, I just want to remind my colleagues, those who are in the meeting room when I said it, or before we started, and the public, I'm leaving at 8:30, just in a nod to my current recovery. So when I do that, either Shadul, if you feel well enough to take over, or somebody here will take over to finish the meeting. So also giving Shadul, who wasn't here, a chance to think about that. Okay, our next item is 2024 Annual Town Meeting. Mr. Khumalo.
Through the chair, we are reminding the community as well as the board that the annual town meeting is on May 6, 2024, and that at this point we are inviting select board members to identify any bylaw changes or town meeting articles that you would like us to prepare to include in the annual town meeting warrant that will be opening January 5th, 2024.
Great. Anybody else have anything to? Let me just say, we had a meeting with the school committee and the appropriations committee. It was nice. It was nice. I thought really important and really helpful to meet a little bit ahead and make sure that we're all sort of staying in sync and aligned on the budget message. The school department currently is a little bit ahead of the guidance that the select board provided, but has done really solid, respectful work to come closer to that guidance, and we expect that they'll continue to do that if we need them to, which we may. And I think that other department budgets came in today, or the deadline was today. Is that right, Mr. Khumalo? Or town manager completes the budget review, right? Services budget review.
Yes, we've completed the departmental budget reviews.
Yes.
We are now incorporating or beginning the process to build the comprehensive budget based on the numbers we receive from the schools as well as the information we receive from town departments.
Perfect. Appreciate it. And the public is reminded that we want to hear from you. So please do come to future meetings. There's time set aside at the beginning if you have some information you'd like to share. Anybody else have questions or thoughts on the town meeting?
I'm just going to note for the public too that if people do want to submit citizens petitions, they have now. And
yes.
Once we open the warrant, they have until February 6th to submit them, or go through a board or committee if they can, because that's
great.
So, Madam Chair, I move to open the 2024 annual town meeting warrant on January 5th, 2024. The warrant will close on February 6th, 2024.
Second.
The second then?
By roll call vote, Shahidul?
Eidelmannen, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes.
Irfan Asrulli, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Okay. All right. And now we're at the town manager report, Mr. Khumalo.
Yes, no key updates on the Main Street Corridor project. PFAS treatment project. At this point, we have been advised by the contractor that they now plan to complete the project perhaps by mid-April. Clearly, this came as a disappointment to us. However, we do understand that there are issues beyond everybody's control, including one as you know, the vessels were prepared and readied and stored way back. Unfortunately, at that point, the manufacturer did not account for the New England weather. So they've been sent back to the shop to make sure that the paint can withstand the New England weather.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are things you learn.
And they are now expected to be delivered first week in January. And then on the MWRA, PA Engineering is commencing the permit application process. Tim O'Leary, John Butler continue to review the business terms. And then we also made contact with DCR with regard to installing a booster pump station on their property along 85. However, their reaction was that this request would be inconsistent with the statutory mandate of DCR. However, I have since reached out to DCR to see if they would allow us to state our case. My understanding is that this has happened before, back in 85, 86. The town was allowed to locate pump stations, or in fact wells, off Spring Street. And then Pinecrest Village, I'm respectfully requesting the board authorize the town manager to send a letter to the current owner of an affordable housing unit stating that the town will not exercise its right of first refusal so long as the seller can find a qualifying buyer. If that doesn't happen, that issue will be brought back to the town for consideration. Again, our goal is to preserve the unit whilst allowing the current owner to sell the unit.
Great. And the only question I have on the DCR conversation, I appreciate that you've reached out. That's sort of like a nice plan B, but what is our plan C?
The engineers are looking at alternate locations.
Okay. All right.
On the,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, quick one on the Main Street Corridor project. We had a number of people asking. So obviously construction is over for now. We're at this point, we're just waiting for the transformers, correct? So nothing is going to happen until we get those transformers, correct?
Nothing substantially, yes, will happen. Nothing substantial. However, there could be minor work that's done along the corridor, along the sidewalks, as well as the bike trail. Okay.
Like in the spring.
Yes.
In the spring, obviously.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And that's it for me.
I don't think I have anything more.
Mary Jo, do you have any questions?
No, the utilities frustrate me because they've had all this time to get the transformers ready.
Yeah.
They've known for 3 years that they were going to need them and need them now. And the same thing happened to us in Framingham, and it was just very frustrating. I find them to be feeling non-responsive.
Yeah. Our priorities are not necessarily their priorities, right? Shahidul, do you have any questions on the town manager report?
I do not right now, but I would echo the same with frustration that I'm hearing on that.
Yeah. Amen. Can we hear a hallelujah?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the town manager to sign the right of first refusal letter for 10 Pinecrest Village.
Is there a second?
Second.
By roll call vote, Shahidul?
Edmanan, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Amy Rodobush, yes.
Irfan Asrulli, yes.
Cyril Kramer, yes. Great, thanks, Irfan.
Sure.
Okay, liaison reports or board invites?
Did we do the Elmwood vote?
We're not doing that
Oh, we're
tonight.
holding on, yep, sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
I have a quick update from the affordable housing. They're working on a grant application for a house production report, and I'm asking also to Norman. I was going to reach out, but I couldn't. if there is any way we can help expedite that and make sure the grant goes through, I think there will be a important milestone to kind of understand our affordable housing situation and plan or confirm some of the planning that we are doing part there. And then there were good discussion about some of the new projects that they want to take on for next year. One thing I also proposed and kind of put out on their radar is if we can connecting all the funds that we have, and Norman will need your expertise and the town administration's expertise, of course. John wasn't there, I think he was double booked, to see how best to expedite that or do that is how can we build a CPC proposal for affordable housing, given some of the town assets we have or some of the needs we have. But it needs a lot of research and it needs a lot of work. They're now kind of gearing up for that. Those are the key, I think, that they were looking for. And one third one is they're going to set up some time with you, Norman, and if any other expert we need to bring in to discuss the opportunities and some of the logistics to move forward with that. It's a new board, so they would prefer a little more guidance on those. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Shahidul. Mary Jo?
Well, I had a lot of budget meetings and things like that, but I did go to the marathon meeting, and they're progressing as well as possible and doing what they do this time of year, which is really important. And I'm just waiting for the MWRTA to start up next month, so they have converted to electric vehicles.
Nice. Amy?
I think the only thing I have is, I didn't go to the CPC meeting because it was the same time as our meeting with the school committee, but they did vote, I got in the paper, that they could not fund part of the Marathon School Playground proposal for the expansion and the inclusive playground. So anyway, so that's a little too bad that I think it didn't really went there very much.
Okay.
So if we were to do that project, it would be probably from town funds.
Okay. Great. Thanks for the update.
I have nothing. I was on
Okay.
vacation.
Okay, Irfan was busy celebrating his 25th anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's really where your focus was supposed to be. So great. The only update I have is that, unfortunately, the meeting that we had scheduled a couple weeks ago for the Fire Chief Search Committee had to be postponed, but that meeting will be held this Friday. So appreciation to everyone who is moving their schedule and right in the heart of the holiday mix is making it possible. So we hope to have a recommendation for the select board in January and keep moving that forward.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to respectfully ask that we sort of put off future board agenda items till next discussion, if that's okay with folks.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to add some commentary, if I could, for a couple of minutes.
Sure. Go ahead, Shahidul.
Yeah. I was listening to various boards and various town leaders and residents, and one resonating thought that comes is our town employees and our town leadership transition and some of the vacancies that we have. And I know everyone's doing their best and we are moving forward. You just gave an update on the fire chief. I'm heartened to hear that. Certainly, that's how we proceed, and we need to focus on succession plans. And before I even go there, I didn't get the opportunity to thank Norman for his enormous service, and I'm sure we'll have many more sessions to elaborate more. But for over a decade, you've been a pillar of our town administration, done so much for our town. We are truly grateful and appreciate all the things that you have done. And same with all the town employees who've been carrying the torch and being our face of service and providing great service to our town. That's why we are perceived as a great town, excelling in so many fronts. Now, that said, I think in terms of continuity and listening to these concerns, I would like to propose for consideration to you all if we want to have more of a subcommittee to kind of keep track and focus specifically, because it's a point in time kind of need, focus on three things in my view. One is the transition plan for the senior leadership, as some are retiring, Norman retiring especially, and we already had our CFO also leaving. So making a robust, solid transition plan with timeline and more visibility and understanding, so everyone feels more comfortable. Second is also assessing if there is any town employee retention. What is the status of kind of overall our town employee retention, hiring? We hired a lot, obviously great talents, and overall employee satisfaction, and if there is anything we can recommend to do better. And third, and probably one of the very important ones, is having a clear and ongoing conversation and report about our open, especially the senior leadership positions, opening them up if not already, and getting the status updates on a regular basis until we have full hiring on those fronts. I'm
sorry, Shardul, can you repeat the third one?
The third one is in line with the first one. First one was more focused on Norman's transition. The third one is more in line with some of the key leadership roles that we have been searching, and we have having a overarching report on where we are and what are the actions and what are the timelines basically look at. What I'm looking at is how can we help to expedite things and give more comfort about the transition, the stability, and going forward. And I have no doubt those are in the works, and I know a lot of them. We have been talking about those, and Norman and the administration is doing a fantastic job in hiring great talents. But I think the more kind of opportunity for the moment is having
Okay. I hope you're feeling better soon, Shardul. So just let you and everybody on the board know, transition plan discussions are starting this week. I'll be in. We already have the appointment set up. I'll be in this week, so I'll have some report out in January as we go forward. So that's an excellent idea, and I appreciate those other two ideas, Shardul, a lot. So we will fling those into the mix. Thank you. All right. If everybody is amenable, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
No, I just want that everybody who's celebrating holidays or has celebrated holidays, and this month is a tough month, and I hope everybody's very careful, whether they're out shopping, whether they're just looking around or going on vacation, or celebrating a specific holiday. Please use caution, be careful, and get there safe.
And I'm going to piggyback on that and say, and I hope that everybody's getting their power back soon. I know a lot of people were without yesterday, and then some other people they lost power today if they had it yesterday. So I really hope everybody's getting their power back by tonight.
Also, I know there are, again, water issues. So really, I know this is a hard time of year to have other things added on, added stressors. So please keep us informed. Please hang in there and have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays, everyone.
We have a second.
Did we second that?
Second. Okay, by roll call vote, Shahidul?
Adil Mananda.
Joe Lafreniere, yes?
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Ron Estrella, yes.
Meryl Kramer, yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
We have...